Ms. Farrelly, would you like to?
May it please the court. The yogurt shop murders is unquestionably the most notorious case in the state of Texas and has been described as the case that changed Austin. Few crimes in Texas history can provoke outrage like it has. Outrage because of the nature and brutality of the cold-blooded murder of 4 innocent teenage girls. Outrage such as to the extent that many involved would do anything to solve it, including pinning the murders on 4 young boys. These were 4 normal teenage boys at the time of these murders. For the past 27 years, we on the defense have always referred to them as the boys because we've always maintained that boys could not have done this crime because their entire youth and futures were taken away from them. Within weeks of the murders, Robert Springsteen and others were questioned as suspects and immediately cleared of any involvement. It wasn't until 8 years later that Robert Springsteen was prosecuted. Not because of any evidence, as there was and never has been any evidence that links any of them to this crime, but because of biased and corrupted investigation. An investigation that eventually resulted in a coerced false confession. Coerced confessions where they were manipulated, lied to, and fed details. Obtained after relentless, lengthy interrogation sessions that included telling Robert that the reason he didn't remember details of the crime is because the crime was so horrible that he had psychologically blocked it from his mind. Those interrogating him then helped him recover his memory of the crime by literally feeding him the details that he eventually remembered. It was this confession of which was the sole reason for his conviction. Robert Springsteen was sentenced to death. He spent 10 years in prison and on death row, up to 23 hours a day in a cell with no human contact. Let us not forget that he could be dead right now, executed at the hands of the state of Texas. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals reversed Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott's convictions because their constitutional Sixth Amendment rights were violated. The case was then remanded for new trials. As we began preparing for trial, DNA testing of biological materials left by the killer at the scene of the murder led to a shocking result. The DNA revealed that a full YSTR profile that matched neither Robert Springsteen nor his co-defendants, nor any of the other nearly 300 men tested either as suspects or for contamination. The district attorney eventually dismissed the case expressly because of the surprising results of this DNA testing. Testing that precludes Robert Springsteen's participation in the crime under any rational theory of the murders ever contemplated by law enforcement in the quarter of century they've had to think about this case. And although the state dismissed the charges, the cases remained open, pending further investigation and hanging over all of their heads. For 27 years, Robert Springsteen and the boys have fought to clear their name, and the state has fought us on this all the way. Robert has maintained his innocence from the beginning, even when offered a deal if he would testify against the others, and he refused. When he was sentenced to death, he lost all hope. He lost hope that the real killer would ever be found, and he lost hope in the criminal justice system. The cause of this case and why we're here isn't because of just one police officer or one ADA. It is because of systemic failures perpetrated over the years by many. Robert Springsteen and the others are victims of a miscarriage of justice, where the evidence, the science, and the truth all point to their innocence. These convictions should also provoke outrage. Make no mistake, this can and will happen again unless we pay attention here, identify the investigative failures, and force our system to focus not on obtaining convictions, but on the pursuit of truth. This case needs to change Austin. It needs to change Texas. It needs to change how cases are handled. It is truly a miracle that we are here, a miracle that has come too late for Maurice Pierce and has been denied for too long for Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, and Forrest Wellborn. We are grateful for this meaningful opportunity to establish what is demonstrably true, that Robert Springsteen and the other boys indeed are actually innocent, and ask that they be exonerated and restore their good names. Thank you.